I am a pediatrician at a regional hospital on the outskirts of the capital. Although our work is always demanding, there are nights that defy any medical logic. This is the story of one of those shifts, one that I swore I would never tell again, but that I will never forget. It was a Tuesday like any other. My shift began at 7 p.m., and the initial report indicated an unusually calm pediatric floor. But the atmosphere, it felt heavy. An uncomfortable stillness that sometimes precedes the worst storms in a hospital. We only had a couple of stable patients, and then there was Valentina. She was 16, in the terminal stage of myeloid leukemia. I looked at her and thought about how unfair science can be sometimes. She was resting, but the air in that room felt static, like the oxygen itself was waiting for something to happen. I remember thinking, please, let this be a quiet night. But deep down, I already knew it wouldn't be. Around 11 p.m., the calm didn't just break, it shattered. It didn't start with a patient, but with a mother. A woman who was always calm suddenly began to hyperventilate, clutching her throat as if invisible hands were choking her. Then, a wave hit us. Parents in the waiting area began complaining of sudden, piercing headaches and nausea. I thought it was a gas leak, a virus. I wanted a rational explanation. I needed one. And then, the children followed. An asthmatic boy, almost ready for discharge, went into a respiratory crisis so violent we had to intubate him on the spot. My partner, Dr. Martinez, was trapped in the NICU. 3 premature babies had coded at the exact same second. It was a massacre of the innocent. I remember thinking, this isn't medicine. This is something else. It felt like the hospital was being drained of its life force. Valentina turned critical. Her pulse was a fading ghost. I ran to the pneumatic tube system to call for an emergency blood pack, but the panel was black. No power. I grabbed the desk phone, dead. I pulled out my cell, no bars. In a building designed to save lives through technology, every single lifeline had been cut. We were suddenly practicing medicine in the dark ages. I looked out the window, hoping to see the city lights, but the world outside had vanished into a void. It was as if the hospital had been transported to the middle of an empty ocean. The street lights were flickering out, one by one, and a thick, unnatural fog was swallowing the horizon. I realized then, help wasn't coming. We were on our own. Valentina didn't have time for a miracle, she needed platelets. I made a choice that haunts me. I left the nurse to keep her heart beating and headed for the emergency stairs. The elevators were out of order, their metal doors frozen shut. 6 floors stood between me and the basement. 6 floors of absolute, crushing shadow. Every step I took echoed like a gunshot in a canyon. I passed the doors to surgery and internal medicine. Silence. No nurses, no patients, just the smell of ozone and the feeling that the building itself was watching me. The lower I went, the more the air felt thick. Like I was walking through water. I reached basement 0. This was the gut of the hospital, a place of pipes and shadows. My small light felt useless against the darkness here. It was freezing, yet I was drenched in sweat. I started to run, my heart hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would crack. I just kept thinking of Valentina's face. The blood bank was locked. I pounded on the metal door until my hands burned. Is anyone there? I screamed, but the basement only gave me my own voice back. I felt a wave of pure, animal terror. I was a doctor, a man of science, but standing in that dark hallway, I felt like a child lost in a nightmare. I was failing her. I was failing Valentina. And then, I heard it. A soft click. The lights at the far end of the hall went out. Then the next pair. Click. The darkness was marching toward me, systematic and cold. I didn't hear footsteps, but I heard a vibration, a low, guttural hum that made the floor tiles shiver. Whatever was coming wasn't looking for blood, it was looking for us. A hand yanked me inside a side office. It was the night technician. He was trembling so hard I thought he'd have a seizure. He wouldn't look at the door. He whispered, "Doctor, don't look at the glass. On nights like this, we stay in the dark. There are things that come to harvest when the system fails." He handed me the platelets. He already had them ready. He knew I was coming. He pushed me out and locked the door behind him. I didn't look back. I ran up those 6 flights of stairs like a madwoman, clutching the blood pack to my chest like a shield. I didn't care about the shadows or the clicks anymore. I just wanted to be back in the light. I wanted to see Valentina's face, to tell her I was back. I burst through the door, lungs burning, holding the platelets out like a trophy. But the room was quiet. Too quiet. The nurse looked at me, her eyes red, and just shook her head. Science didn't win that night. Valentina was gone. She was one of 5 we lost in that single hour. All stable, all gone at once. The platelets in my hand felt cold, like a mocking weight. By 4:30 a.m., the sun began to rise, and the storm simply vanished. The lights came on, the phones rang. We ran out of death certificates that night, a statistical impossibility. We don't talk about it. We hide behind our white coats and our data. But sometimes, when the hospital gets quiet, I look at the elevator and I remember that some nights, science is just a candle, and the darkness is very, very hungry.